Hi everyone, Scruffany-Faced Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Flume album, Things Don't Always Go the Way You Plan. Australian electronic music producer Flume is back, following up last year's Palaces, which was another commercial addition to his growing catalog of future bass, wonky, and glitchy trap music. So you may ask, why is he releasing so soon after a relatively successful release? Well, it's because this thing is a mixtape, which has me pretty psyched, because the last time he dropped one of those was with 2019's Hi, This Is Flume, which managed to become my favorite project he's ever come out with, partially because of it having a more experimental slant than anything he's put out before, as well as some pretty cool left field features. The abundance of short, creative, and versatile bops on this thing just came together into a chaotic but fun tapestry. And I was hoping for something similar out of this new project here, but this is far from another robust mixtape. And while, yeah, it's in the same ballpark of runtime, we're only getting 10 tracks this time around, the detail and quality of the cuts on this thing kind of varies. And the one-dimensionality of them, as well as the sound and the front cover here, kind of leads me to believe that we're hearing some cutting room floor material, which may have been the case to some extent on Hi, This Is Flume, but at least in that instance, the material there was vibrant and punchy and eclectic enough to drop in the batch they formed. Things Don't Always, unfortunately, doesn't come across as wild, bold, or as well crafted. The stuttering drops on Nice to Know You come across more awkward than Flume typically makes them. They don't exactly hit all that hard either. There's a very unceremonious ending on this one too. The atmospheric and ambient future garage cut Y is pretty competently assembled, with some nice vocal chops in the mix too. But there's a pretty insufficient amount of bass on the track too, and Flume doesn't really bring his bright, glitchy magic this time around to the table either. This piece feels pretty standard for the style, and that's it. Toward the middle, we get a couple of bland ambient cuts, one of them being Dream, or Close, whose aesthetics are too shrill and tinny and thin for me to really find them all that immersive, especially with all these stretched out vocal samples spread across the track. There are also some songs here that have some fantastic elements within them, but they really fail to build up into anything all that stunning. There are some beautifully cinematic synths and beats on One Step Closer, plus I'm really impressed with the strange and alien vocal harmonies brought by Panda Bear on this cut too. The track is moving, it's mesmerizing, but it doesn't really go anywhere once it's established and just feels relatively unfinished at the end of the day. Like, the track is so cool, I think it should be out there in the mix for the people to hear, but it wasn't cool enough to, I don't know, put some more finishing touches on. Then we have the glossed up pop of Rhinestone featuring Isabella Manfredi, which has potential as well, but the rough and cluttered mixing keeps the track from feeling, I think, as sweet as it could. Plus the verses are nowhere near as memorable as the hook. The tune is pretty derivative too. The most truly standout moments on this thing come toward the start and the finish of this project. We have the creative Counting Sheep featuring Injury Reserve, where Richie with a T drops some cold-blooded and super deep raspy flows, and this song also features some of the most creative production on the entire record as well, with deflating synth leads, what also sounds like ripping sound effects, some bit-crushed whooshes, and heavy, heavy, heavy hits of bass. It's a wild beat. Then Spoke to Aliens finally. While this track does have kind of a lo-fi mix to it, the stuttering synth tones throughout the track legit sound like an alien race sending a message from across space, or a recording of aliens singing. Plus, thanks to the murky chords and celestial synth layers that build up toward the end, the whole track has a really gratifying progression to it. The title track as well is pretty groovy and entrancing, but even with that handful of cuts that I took away as being relatively impressive, this mixtape overall I think is not all that great. There's not a whole lot to report here, honestly. It's just kind of a mixed bag of somewhat presentable odds and ends. No more, no less. I'm pretty on the fence with it. I'm feeling a light 5 on this one. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Flume, forever.